Welcome to the Shoulda Bet More podcast presented by GoldBoys. Coming up on the show, Brad Thomas of NBC Sports. GoldBoys will join us. We'll discuss the Wednesday games in the NBA, some PGA Championship, maybe some NFL and college. The NFL schedule comes out Wednesday. You're starting to see some games leak out. Jets and the 49ers on Monday night. We have Chiefs Ravens as the opener, but we'll start with basketball. Nuggets T-Wolves is going on as we record. Wanted to get this out for the morning, so we'll discuss Game 6, which is Friday. We'll spend plenty of time on that for the Friday pod. A pivotal Game 6. Look, somebody's gonna be up 3-2, so we will discuss that, and we'll start here with the Knicks. I'll get to the games for Wednesday here in a minute, but the Knicks will lead here, and it's so easy to overreact, and sometimes it's not even overreact. Sometimes you're just reacting to the last thing you saw. And the Knicks with an embarrassing performance on Mother's Day, and it was just easy to write them off. Well, they respond, they punch back in a big way, and they blow out the Pacers in Game 5. They take a 3-2 lead. Game 6 will be on Friday. Knicks are now 5.5-point underdogs, -250 to win the series. 5.5-point underdogs for Game 6 here on Friday. And look, it's easy to forget that Game 3, and this is why I like the Knicks in this game. It's easy to forget that Game 3 against the Pacers that Friday night, Knicks were up 8-10 points. Second half, we're on the verge of putting that game away, and really could have a call here or there, a shot here or there. And look, I understand they can't complain about calls after Game 1, but it certainly evened out. The Pacers got a friendly whistle in Game 3. So this idea that the Knicks couldn't compete with this Pacers team, I never bought it. This Pacers team is just not very good, not good defensively. And I'll just say now I like the Knicks plus the 5.5 on Friday, and I would not be surprised. I have a feeling the Knicks close this out and win it in 6. I know it's been a home court series, and usually when it starts out as a home court series, it stays that way. I have a feeling the Knicks are competitive in this game, and with Brunson and this renewed bench, and that's the story really of this game is the bench. I have a feeling they close it out, and Tibbs kind of looks bad this way, and maybe he'll get away with it. And if he wins the series, look, you get swept by Boston, nobody's going to carry you in the conference finals. Great year, all will be forgiven, but. I mean, these guys that he was terrified to play, Burks and Achua, especially Burks. Burks was tremendous. McBride was tremendous. These guys were awesome. So this idea that you couldn't even sneak these guys on the court for 3, 4, 5 minutes to rest Hart, Brunson, DiVincenzo, Anunoby, your big guns, really looks bad because these guys were more than passable. They were more than serviceable. They were outstanding here in Game 5. Now you figure, all right, maybe on the road you don't get that kind of performance, but they certainly showed enough where, hey, you can roll these guys out there and not feel like you're going to absolutely get destroyed in their minutes. So maybe Tibbs, and look, he's never going to learn because even this game was a 27-point game with 3 minutes to go, and Brunson's still out there, getting whacked, going to the foul line. Like he has no sense of the big picture sometimes, just leaving these guys out there. It's all gas, no breaks all the time. It's amazing. And again, these guys that he's just terrified to play were fine. So, Burks has been in the NBA a long time. It's not like Burks is some, G leaguer that doesn't belong in the NBA. Burks has a track record as a decent NBA player, and these guys that he's just so fearful of playing are really not that bad. So the Knicks win -250 for the series. Again, I do think they close this out in 6. Pacers are favored. Pacers are rightfully favored, but I think that's a close game. I just have a feeling the Knicks break through and win this. The Pacers man, they are a lousy defensive team. They really are. That was a poor effort in Game 5. So we'll see what happens there. The game's Wednesday. Celtics Cavs is over. Celtics now laying 14.5. Who knows if Mitchell's going to play? And that Game 2, you scratch your head if you had Celtics to sweep. You say, how the hell did I not get my sweep here if you had that bet? Because the Cavs just are not competitive. Mitchell played well, but this is just not a fair fight. Boston's the much better team, and this path to the finals for Boston, you cannot. I don't think there's ever been a softer path. A beat up Miami team, a beat up Cleveland team, and now whatever's left of the Knicks. Now we'll call it the Knicks. Maybe the Pacers sneak through. Even that, like Pacers could be the worst conference finals team of all time if they ended up winning these last 2 games. This is a red carpet to the finals. Been talking about this for the last couple months, how there's just nobody in the East that's going to challenge them, and that really was exacerbated by all the injuries and Embiid not being 100%, Giannis and Dame getting hurt, all the Knicks guys getting. I mean, you just go down the line. Butler getting hurt. It could not have broken better for them. And you can make the case either way. You could say, hey, it's good for them. Now they're going to be rested. They're going to go into the finals in June fresh. Okay, I buy it. Or you could say, hey, this is not the best thing for them because they're not battle tested. It's like facing a knuckleball pitcher, and you're going to get to the finals and face whether it's Jokic, Minnesota, OKC, whoever it is. You're going to go up not just a notch. You're going to go up 2 or 3 notches. And are you ready for that level of increase in competition? So we'll see. Boston, a -140 favorite to win it all. They are going to be in the finals. take it or lay it here. I guess I would lay it. Who knows with Boston? When you can never trust them once they get comfortable, but they do seem to follow the same pattern of they get the one bad game out of their way and then they just roll everybody. So I guess I'd lay it, not dying to lay 14.5 points, but I would expect them to win and move on and wait for the winner of Knicks Pacers. As far as OKC, Dallas, OKC is laying 4. OKC is minus 160 for the series. His total is 213 here. I think Dallas let that series slip through their fingers in game 4. I think they're going to be looking back all summer, all offseason, and say, man, we had it in game 4. If they went up 3-1, OKC was not coming back down 3-1. I know they had 5 at home, 7 at home. OKC did, but that young team is not winning 3 in a row, including 1 on the road. Now that they have 2 out of the final 3 at home, and it's a best of 3, I do think OKC gets home here and figures out a way to win these games. And Dallas, Luka doesn't look healthy. That's the main thing. Kyrie's had a couple of 9-point games, which, like, say what you want about Kyrie, he's a great scorer. For him to have 9 points is really alarming. And Luka just doesn't look healthy. And as the series goes on, I just don't expect him to look healthier. So would expect OKC to win game 5. I would lay the 4. I think they probably split the next 2 games, and then OKC wins a game 7. That's how I'd expect it to go. Dallas just gave the game away in game 4 at the free throw line. I mean, they had their chances. They're up 14 in the second half. They're up 7 with 6 and change left. When you shoot 9 of 19 from the free throw line in the second half, it's hard to win games that way. And, Luka, as great as he is on offense, he's really he's an okay free throw shooter, but he misses a lot of free throws, a lot of big ones, missed some big ones on Monday in game 4. And he never stops complaining about the refs. Oh my God. It's every single trip down. If it was up to him, if he was the ref, he'd shoot 135 free throws every game. It never stops. It never stops. He's just, he's basically, he's basically like a coach where he's sitting there politicking for calls nonstop. I mean, go back and play defense. They cost themselves so many points with the complaining. And I think it hurts him with the refs too. Because if I was a ref, I would say, you know what, screw this guy. I'm not giving him any calls. It's really hard to watch. He is such a baby. And he's a great player, great offensive talent. I don't think he's healthy. He's gutting it through all that. He is just the biggest baby I've ever seen. And there's a lot of them. Look, LeBron's bad. Towns is bad. I mentioned Gobert on Sunday in game 4, shoving the guy with 2 hands and then saying, hey, what did I do? How could you call that foul? So there's a lot of them. And boy, these refs, I don't know how they deal with it. But Luka's the worst. Luka is awful with this stuff. So I do think OKC wins the series. I think they win game 5. I'd expect Dallas to probably get game 6. So I think this will probably be OKC in 7. It's kind of where I was at the beginning of the series. Then Luka didn't look healthy. I thought it might be a shorter series. So kind of back to where we started, where OKC wins a longer series, which makes sense. These 2 teams are very evenly matched. OKC is good, but they're young. Dallas is really good, but they're not healthy. They're not that deep. So good series, fun series, probably headed 7. It's possible. I mean, look, it's not impossible we get 3 7-gamers. I know I picked the Knicks against the Pacers in game 6, but look, the Pacers are favored. We'll see what happens. Denver, Minnesota, and Dallas, OKC, certainly possible that goes 7. So in a round 1 where only 1 7-gamer and it was that just unwatchable, boring Magic Cavs game, we might get 3 game 7s this weekend. Who knows? Probably not. I'd say you get definitely 1, maybe 2. The over-under would probably be, that's a good question. What would the over-under for number of game 7s we have? Probably 2. And yeah, I mean, I think 2 is likely. Well, definitely, I would say it's unlikely we don't have any. So getting 1 is probable. Decent chance we get 2, and who knows? Maybe we get 3. So that would be fun. That'd be nothing better than a game 7. We'll see how many we actually get. Again, I think I have a feeling the Knicks close it out, but look, nobody's broken through in terms of home court there, and the Pacers are favored. So we'll see how that goes. I do like the Thunder here in game 5. I don't, would you rather lay the 4? Or would you rather just take the minus 160 to win the series? I do think they're going to win 2 out of 3. I do think Dallas kind of missed their opportunity to close out that series, especially with Luka all banged up and Kyrie not playing well. So we'll see. Should be a fun weekend of basketball. Again, we'll have more time to talk about these game 6s on Friday. But coming up next, it is Brad Thomas from NBC and GoldBoys. That is next. This is the Shoulda Bet More podcast. All right, we are back. Shoulda Bet More podcast. You can catch his work at goldboys.com, NBC Sports. The list goes on. He joins us now. It is Brad Thomas. Brad, what's up, man? Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Super stoked to talk. Anytime I get a chance to talk betting specifically with you, I get excited because I feel like you look at the lines a little bit different than a lot of sports bettors. You remind me of a person who wants to secure profit any way possible, which gets you looking at lines in different ways, especially in future markets and series prices and stuff like that.
Well, I appreciate it, man. Let's dive into it. We'll look at the Wednesday games. We'll get into some PGA stuff because it's the PGA Tour Championship this week. Some NFL lines starting to pop up. We'll start with the basketball. Um, we'll skip over Cavs Celtics for now. We'll get back to that. But OKC laying 4 minus Dallas. I get the sense Dallas kind of let the series slip through their fingers in game 4. Missed a ton of free throws. Luka doesn't look healthy, so I don't know. Home court hasn't been a ton here, but I figure Dallas. I figure OKC figures out a way to win 2 out of 3 here. They are laying 4, total 213. The games have been lower scoring. Anything you like in this game or this series going forward?
Yeah, I actually like OKC laying the points here. When I and this has been someone who's been pretty pro Dallas selectively in the playoffs. When I bet on the Dallas games, it's been in small instances, like small chunks, Dallas first quarter or Dallas first half, or live bet Dallas plus the points. I haven't been keen on taking Dallas, laying points with Dallas in any facet. And a lot of that stems off Luka Doncic, right? When's the last time outside of the playoffs we've seen Luka's point total sitting at like 26, 27, 28? That never happens. He's a 30 plus point prop guy. And the reason is he doesn't look healthy. And regardless of all the amazing things Luka can do on the court, the fact that he takes plays off, and dude's playing 40 minutes, like it's gonna bound to happen that he does, but the fact that he's doing it in the playoffs, it scares me. And I bring it back to a pivotal moment in the game. I believe it was a 2-point game late in the game, and Luka got hit on the knee. Didn't look like a crazy injury, like someone hit him hard or something, but it was enough for him to literally walk back. The defense was already set up. He was walking back on offense. He didn't even touch the ball that possession. And then defensively, he barely jogged back. Like those kind of efforts out of your best player aren't going to win you games, and certainly not going to win you championships.
Totally agree. Doesn't look healthy. The every other night nature of the series doesn't help either. Where it's like, man, if you're not healthy by now, you're not going to get healthier. It's going to go the other direction. And I actually thought OKC could attack him more defensively, where he doesn't look the same on offense. He doesn't look, he's gutting it out, but he just doesn't look healthy. He doesn't, he's exploitable on defense. And for a guy who's so great on offense, he misses a lot of free throws. Like he's not a great free throw shooter. And he never stops complaining. He bitches. If it were up to him, he would shoot 150 free throws. He thinks he's fouled on every play. It really is. It gets old. It's tough to take.
This is toned down. Like he's toned it down this year because he didn't want to get so many technical fouls.
And I think it's worked against him too, where I think like he gets a bad whistle now too, because refs, he's just built up a reputation where it's like, what, 50 calls, I don't want to hear you. I'm not going to give you the call. I don't like you. Like if I were a ref, I wouldn't like him. I get the sense that he's turned the refs against him. So you're laying the 4. Do you have any interest? Minus 155 series price. I kind of prefer, like, I think they'll win game 5, but I think I'd prefer the series price just on a money line.
Yeah, if I were to take the money line, I would certainly take the series price over the money line in game 4. It just feels like the effort for Dallas to win the series would be much larger than the number provided.
Yeah, and OKC didn't even shoot the ball great from 3, especially in game 4, and they haven't played great just in general. 27% from 3, and in game 4, the Giddey minutes are a waste of time. They haven't looked great, but the fact that they're 2-2, I think, is a benefit to them. Do you think Dallas gets game 6, turning this forward? If it is OKC up 3-2, do you think this is headed 7? How do you think this series plays out?
Wow, man. I think so. I think Dallas takes it and they go to game 6. But then what do you think the series price would be? Like, that's what worries me. I don't know if you get a better series price. Maybe the money line would still probably be 180 in a game 7, 175.
Yeah, right around there. I mean, they're not going to adjust it too much. Maybe they shrink it a little bit. Again, it depends what happens. Maybe they shrink it a little bit because game 7s are a little lower scoring. But you're probably in the neighborhood 3, 4, 4.5, somewhere between 3.5, 4.5. Celtics, Cavs. Any betting angle here? I mean, I bet the Celtics to sweep. Somehow I'm not going to cash that ticket again. Found a good number on it too. It's just ridiculous how they let these teams off the hook. 15.5 is a lot of points. I don't know. Do you have a betting angle here, player prop, any way you want to attack this game?
Yeah, I like Peyton Pritchard, 12 plus points. It kind of feels like the writing's on the wall for the Cavaliers. And I should have said the odds for that. The odds for that are plus 230. It's going to be the bet that I give out on our new show, Lunch Money Bets for NBC. Perfect 5-0 on the show, so I probably just jinxed it. But this game just feels like the series feels like the writing's on the wall, right? Like Jared Allen's probably not coming back. Donovan Mitchell sat out last game. Is he going to be healthy enough to play? But even with Donovan Mitchell, this is a team that kind of got fortunate in matchups to play against Orlando. Like they're not beating a lot of teams in playoff series. Now they're playing against the Celtics, who have had that one wake up call game. I don't think two is going to happen. And what's the problem with the Cleveland Cavaliers is they don't match up well, right? Like the Celtics just play that five wide, like basically all five players outside the perimeter. And that's not where the Cavaliers want to defend. They want you to drive it in on them. They stop. It's just a tough matchup, a team that's better. And the Cavaliers just aren't there yet. I actually think the Cavaliers are going to blow it up. So why I say that is Peyton Pritchard has already been getting quality minutes. A couple times in this series, what I even liked is he's taking the shots at the buzzer when he's in the game. And that's just free opportunities for someone who's good scorer, but that also means trust. So he'll be playing the minutes that he can, but if it turns into a blowout, he's absolutely clearing the 12 plus points.
Yeah, and if it does get out of hand, maybe you look at guys like Hauser, Cornette, some of these guys lower down, figuring it, with these really low lines, they might play. It might be garbage time here in the fourth quarter. And yeah, I mean, I can't remember a softer path to the finals than Boston. I mean, Heat with no Butler and missing other guys as well. This version of the Cavs, and then whatever's left out of Knicks Pacers. My goodness, I mean, that is just a walk into the finals.
Yeah, the Knicks Pacers are going to beat themselves up, and I feel like that one's going 7-2. Like there's going to be like tired legs the whole time.
What do you make of all these injuries? Because these guys seem to get plenty of rest throughout the regular season, but you look, I mean, just everybody with the capturing Giannis, Embiid, Kawhi, Luka's banged up. I mean, you just go down like everybody's hurt. I don't know if there's an explanation. Do you have any sort of theory
Yeah,
as
I
to why
do
these
have a
guys are hurt?
thought process on that. You don't play, you don't practice, and then all of a sudden you think your body's just going to turn it on and go really hard at the end of the season. That's just not how was it this physiology, whatever it's called. It works. That's just not how the human body works. And even to extend that point, like think about the Knicks. The Knicks, Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson. These dudes are playing really, really long minutes per game. When you're going game 7, 6 game series, and you're playing just about every minute, getting 3 minutes rest, like it's going to take a toll on your body. That's why you see like soft tissue injuries. That's what they're like the biggest, scariest issue is.
What do you think the best player that switches teams this summer is?
The best player that switches teams. Oh man, you're going to hate this one, but probably Paul George.
Oh, okay. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. So you don't think any of the Durant, I don't know, Embiid, Giannis, I don't think he's at that point yet, but there's whispers he's not healthy. I don't know. Do you buy LeBron going to Cleveland was some sort of sign that, hey,
No, I don't.
okay. He loves us talking about it. Not us specifically, but
LeBron is the spotlight king, but we are also divas to spotlighting LeBron.
Yeah.
Like, no lie, last night I was just talking to my wife and I was like, oh my God, LeBron's going to be at the Cavs game with the Kardashians. Like, how many players that aren't in the playoffs are we tracking like that? Because Jalen Suggs and them went to another game. They're out of the playoffs. No one talked about Jalen Suggs. Obviously, He's not LeBron. So the media likes the attention as well. But no, I don't think he goes to Cleveland. I actually think Cleveland's probably going to blow their roster up. I was trying to make like realistic moves they can make that would allow them to get LeBron and another superstar while keeping either Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. And I just couldn't find one that fit. I feel like his best chance to win between the two teams is going to be LA. They just have to get better at their bench has to be better, and they have to get a young superstar. Like it's hard to rely on LeBron James, who's old. It's hard to rely on Anthony Davis, who's old and aging. You need someone who has high motor and can really score points in the clutch when the other two are tired.
Yeah, the problem is they've got a couple picks, but they don't have like that treasure chest where they can get another Anthony Davis type move. Like they can get a good player. Maybe they can get a Trae Young, but they don't have like the difference maker they really need. They don't have the stuff to get Durant. What killed them was the Westbrook trade because they gave up so much to get him. They gave so much to get rid of him. They really destroyed their team after they won the title. Where it's like, man, if they had all that stuff left, they might have enough to get Durant. And if you have Durant, who knows? But I don't know. It'd be interesting.
If I were like the Lakers, and I know they're not going to do this, I would trade LeBron for Donovan Mitchell and a couple picks.
Yeah, it's he's a free agent though, so he's kind of got his
crap. He is a free agent.
He's got a player option, so he can kind of dictate things here. So they don't have a lot of wiggle room. They really don't. Do you think what do you think your Magic do? And do you think Butler gets moved?
Butler gets moved. They're over Butler. I just didn't think, I think that relationship's gone. My Magic, I think they're gonna make a splash. They have money to spend, they have assets. Jeff Weltman, GM, said he doesn't think they need to make moves, which makes me think he wants to make moves. Like normally GMs who say things like that, they're just kind of like posturing. They're like, oh, I'm saying this because I don't want to sound desperate. I don't want teams to hang me over the balcony. And so I think they make a move. I think they have to get another scoring option, specifically one that can shoot. I heard Klay Thompson being flirted around a couple times, which I'm okay with. He can age and it'll space the floor a lot. I'd prefer someone who's a little bit better on the ball, just because like until Banchero really develops a jump shot, he becomes pretty easy to defend late in games. As easy as it can get defending a freaking 6'10" guy who can drive it. But you know what I mean? Like there's no threat that he's going to step back. You'd prefer him step back and shoot it on you. And then Franz Wagner, I don't know if Franz has that next level. I think Franz can be a good pro, but I don't think he'll ever be that guy that you're going to be going to down the stretch of games to win you a game.
Yeah, it's interesting. They're certainly they're going in the right direction. How about the golf here? PGA Championship this week. Are you of the belief you're just wasting your time if you're betting someone other than Scheffler? How do you attack this tournament?
Well, I have bet Scheffler a couple times at low prices. This would be a tournament I'm not going to. If Scottie Scheffler wins, that's totally fine. It's a hard course, right? Valhalla is hard. It's long, mean. Generally, what you see happen at long courses or at hard courses are good golfers win, the best golfers in the world. That's why so many of the hardest tournaments are so chalky, right? But Scottie Scheffler just had a baby. His wife had a baby, and there's a big difference in a Scottie Scheffler personality or like, no offense, a Tyreek Hill personality. When Tyreek Hill has one of his kids, I highly doubt he's spending a ton of time at birth. Scottie Scheffler, I feel like was there through every process, calls his wife as much as he possibly can. That stuff weighs on you. That's one of those metrics. I call it strokes gained home life. That's one of those metrics that you can't quantify. You can't put a number behind it, but it happens with every pro golfer. Like they have a child or they go through a messy divorce and their golf game slips a little bit. It's because of the mental aspect. Now, if there were any golfer who I would definitely say could survive that, it'd be Scottie Scheffler because his game is so whole and complete. But I think there are other options that are just as good as Scottie Scheffler in terms of pricing to skill.
Scheffler's 4-1, Rory's plus 750, Schauffele 14-1, Rahm 16-1, Koepka 16-1, Aubert 22-1, DeChambeau 28-1. Any of those interest you? Anything further down the line? Who have you bet? Who would you recommend?
Yeah, so I'm going to give out long shots throughout the week, show after show, and I'm going to be honest, Will, like that is normally just for show quality. I don't think a long shot wins this tournament. And the first golfer on my list that's a non-long shot is Brooks Koepka. How funny is it that a multiple PGA champion, a defending PGA champion, a guy who's won in the last tournament he played in, has a higher price than Xander Schauffele, who hasn't won since 2021? Xander Schauffele is not a closer. I know how good his game is, but you think he's going to close out a major when he can't even close out a tournament that is a 4-stroke lead after 36 holes? No. I like Brooks Koepka. His game fits the PGA tournament. His mentality is so strong. And I heard this little nugget from Joe Idoni, great research by him. Every single major championship victory for Brooks Koepka, he has finished inside the top 5 in the tournament prior to his start. and he won his last start. So I thought that was pretty cool and pretty compelling. I bet him at 20-1. I'd probably play him to 15. Once you get down to 14, it gets a little hairy, just because of the fact that you're cutting your value from the opening number so much. And I'm talking about weak opening number, not the futures market, because that's just a totally different animal.
Anyone further down the board that you either thought about, got close with? I don't know. Wyndham Clark 40-1. Just looking at these numbers, throwing guys
Wyndham
out
Clark
there.
makes sense, but I think the fairways are a little too narrow. He's more of a U.S. Open kind of course makeup. I went with Justin Thomas at 50-1. Looking at Justin Thomas's like stat profile, and obviously I don't have it pulled up in front of me, but he went through this stretch of really bad golf last season. Then he started this season getting better. And what I mean by getting better, no, he's not the same Justin Thomas who won the PGA Championship a couple years ago, but it looks like he's starting to pull it together. When you are betting on guys, especially when you get to like the 30 to 40-1 number, you want guys who are peaking, because that's when they put it all together. And it helps that he's a major champion. His last two events, statistically, he was pretty sound. I just thought that number was wild. If you want to look at like a Wyndham Clark, I get it, but I just think that he hasn't had a great finish at a tournament since he talked about tweaking his back. The ball speed numbers are still there, so I didn't know how much stock to put in it, but his game is not there. So it could be a correlation between the two, despite the numbers, the speed and the distance still being there.
Football, the line's starting to come out, schedule's starting to come out. Anything college football or NFL that you recommend that has caught your eye going forward?
Yeah, it would be Kirk Cousins passing yards under, right? Like, it's set at 4,000, and sure, Kirk Cousins can go out and have an absolute amazing season, and he can put up big, massive numbers. But we're talking about, when you're looking in the futures market for players who are like yards, overs, you have more. Let me step that back, as I want to explain this fully, because this is really important for people to know, who I would consider like more of the casual bettors. When you are looking in the futures markets for season-long stat props, your best bet is to find how many outs you have, right? So what that means is, are you going to bet on a guy who is bottom of the depth chart, right? Bottom of the depth chart, but they have a chance to get a lot of playing time because this guy's constantly hurt, blah, blah, blah. You'd more likely take an over. But the biggest advantage you have is how many outs unders have in a season long prop. And that could be injury. That could be benching due to poor play. That could be weather. That could also be, people don't even think about this that often, that could be sitting at the end of the season because they've won too many games. And Kirk Cousins coming off an Achilles injury, a lot of people forget this. Kirk Cousins also had 2 knee injuries in college. So he's not like this guy who gets injured a lot, but he's had 3 now major surgeries at the age he is, on a run first team. Atlanta's going to be a run first team, whether you like it or not. They have Bijan Robinson. They have Tyler Algier. They're built to run the ball. Strong offensive line. And then to take it further, one step further, why I like is under, look at his division. His division is in a division where the Bucks, the Saints, the Panthers, 3 teams that are run first teams, 3 teams that play stout defense, and 3 teams that like to control the possession, which means he's going to have less opportunities to just be chucking the ball all around the field.
Any teams you're just generally higher on, not higher on, as we start to get ready for the season?
I'm really high on the Packers, but I thought this was funny. I'm actually going to be fading the Packers. I think obviously, right? Like, I have to look at the headlines. I'm probably going to be fading the Packers more this year than I was betting them last year. And it has nothing to do with their team. I just think that the Packers are starting to get into the overvalued market of where their lines will be higher than they were last year. Good saying, it's always easier to be the hunter than the hunted. Now they are the hunted because people know the Packers have a legitimate team around them.
Yep, no doubt about it. How about your Tides? Bama going to be what kind of team does Bama have post Saban?
Man, this is a new era, right? I watched the offense at the spring game. Spring game offense was fun. Jam Miller running the ball. It's been a while since we've had complex play calling. As someone who loves offensive play calling, there were a couple things that I saw that were pretty tremendous to even show at a spring game. Because, Will, typically spring games are like vanilla. They don't want to give out all of their play calls. They were running jet motion on heavy sets. And why I think that's funny is because it's been so long since Alabama has been a heavy personnel team. And then last year when we tried to run heavy sets, it was so cookie cutter, right? It was get to the tight end in the flat, or it was jam it through the middle. Now you add in jet motion on a heavy set, which is jet motion is generally something. And for those who don't know, that's when you send your slot receiver in motion, kind of like jet sweep motion, right? That's where it gets the name. When you do that out of a heavy set, it gives you more opportunities to build off it and use that as your base for the next series of play calling. So you have an opportunity to run that and then run. I'm going to try to like not use crazy play calls, like run it up the middle between the tackles, right? You can do that, or you can bounce it on the outside, or you can run the counter, which means you go one way and go the other. Bama hasn't had that, I think, since Lane Kiffin, like something like that complex, which is really fun to think about. Defensively, they have a lot to replace, right? They already had a lot going to the draft. They lost a lot of wide receiver, DB talent to the transfer portal, but Kellen DeBoer might not be the best recruiter, but he did a great job in the transfer portal. He got better on the offensive line. He picked up a bunch of studs in the secondary to fill holes. I know you're not replacing Caleb Downs in the transfer portal, right? You're not doing that, but if you're replacing a couple of the other guys who went to the draft, like Terrion Arnold, Kool-Aid McKinstry, you're replacing those guys with promising young talents. I think it's pretty phenomenal what he's done. 10-win team.
All right. It'll be here before you know. That's the fun thing about the NBA, NHL playoffs. When you look up middle of June, and you know what, you're 6 weeks away from the Hall of Fame game all of a sudden, and it'll be here before you know it. Brad, you're the best man. Let everyone know where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on X at Mr. Brad Thomas, and make sure you check out NBCSports.com. Just go to the betting section because it's that time of year where all of my futures articles are coming out. The NBC Sports magazine's coming out. I'm going to have a write-up on the NFL futures. So that's where you're really going to get like those really nice, big value plays in the offseason.
Brad, appreciate a few minutes here. Hopefully we'll do this down the road.
Thanks for having me.
All right, that'll do it. Thank you to Brad Thomas. We'll be back Friday. Don't forget, rate, review, subscribe. See you guys then.